Here now, Bill Bennet, who is no stranger to the inner workings of a presidential cabinet. He is the former education secretary under President Reagan and now hosts the Bill Bennet podcast. He's also a Fox News contributor. So, I mean, boy, you know, the New York Post has always had a lot of front pages about President Trump over the years. You know, today it was David, what is in the safe that David Pecker has, who's the head of the National Enquirer. This is quite a week, as Jonathan says. Bill, what's your take on it?
My take on it is that a lot of people are talking about this in very familiar language, Martha. They're tightening the screws. The noose is tightening around the president's neck. The president's hanging by his neck already. The body has been buried. People are declaring him out. He'll be impeached, removed, getting way ahead of the story. And I just don't see the grounds. Look, all of these guys decided to, take a plea in order to save their own skins, their livelihood, their families, and understand disappointment on the part of the president. But this is understandable. But the really interesting question is not, what the squeezees did, the people who were being squeezed, but the squeezers, the Southern District of New York, the prosecutors. What is the crime? Apparently, the crime is being Donald Trump. They're in search of a crime. Your entire discussion with Jonathan, and so far in this one, and I don't think you'd probably bring it up if I didn't, is missing the word Russia or collusion. You remember that? What happened to that? So, okay, let's go through thousands of documents of a guy who did real estate business in New York and see if we can find something wrong. Well, I remember what Bob Novak, the journalist, said to me. He said, if you got the power of the district attorney's office or the power of the federal government going after you, checking every tax return, they're going to find something. Because we are mortal and we make mistakes, and accountants have different views of things. But the intensity of the scrutiny, the intensity of the focus by these people, I think it's transparent.
No, you make a great
Donald
point.
Trump.
And, Adam Schiff and John Brennan, you go back all the way to the very beginning of this whole thing, and they're absolutely 100% sure that there's Russian collusion. And yet we're now into, taxi medallions and bank fraud and tax fraud for Paul Manafort and Michael Cohen. And I find it very interesting because the one phrase that Michael Cohen clearly had to say was that there was a connection between the hush money that was paid in order to influence the 2016 campaign. That was the prosecutor's language, as admitted by Lanny Davis, that Michael Cohen said. And without that, there would be there's a very tenuous string to hang a lot of these stories on this week, Bill.
Yeah, it would be very tenuous string, very thin string, and an easily breakable string. And supposing there's failure to disclose, as Alan Dershowitz has pointed out, my former professor, many times on your shows, he could give $100 million to Stormy Daniels. That wouldn't be a crime. Failure to disclose, that may be a problem. But what's the usual penalty for failure to disclose? Civil fine. That's what it is. They're after something else. They're after whatever they can nail the president on. And people need to look at this and look at it in comparison to what Hillary Clinton did. Well, it's just not the way the system ought to work.
We always look to you for some perspective and big picture, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good to see you tonight,
You're very
Bill.
welcome, as always.